In today's video, I want to talk about the RTX 3080 Ti and why I think that this might be the best high-end choice for you if you are a consumer. The RTX 3090 is prohibitively expensive and the RTX 3080 is almost there, but if the RTX 3080 Ti is so close to being out, I don't know if it makes much sense to get the 3080 over that one. And AMD, yes, the RX 6900 XT is a great contender as a gaming-specific card, but if you want to do more than gaming, if you're doing some sort of machine learning, AI, software development, or if you're a pro-level user that uses it for 3D modeling, then I still think that the Nvidia card might be the way to go for more versatility while still having great performance. Keep watching the video to find out more. But first, remember to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and drop a comment on what you think the best graphics card of this year was. Let's get into it. Recently, there have been some leaks saying that this card will be released in January 2021. We saw that Nvidia released the RTX 3090, 3080, and 3070 earlier this year. The performance on those cards were phenomenal, especially compared to the 2000 series of cards. Considering that the price didn't change significantly from the previous generation to this generation, the architecture change provided a significant performance gain for a very similar price point. We saw that the 3060 Ti recently released performs almost as well as the RTX 2080 Super. So what can we expect out of the RTX 3080 Ti? The RTX 3080 already performs very good and the 3090 isn't significantly better. So how is Nvidia managing to bring in a card that's in between the two while still being able to provide value for it? Well, the answer to that is fairly straightforward. The RTX 3080 Ti that Nvidia is trying to release in January is going to come with 20 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory running at an effective bandwidth of 19.5 gigahertz on a 320-bit bus. Okay, so that was a lot of jargon right there, but what does this mean? So one of the big limiting factors of the RTX 3080 was the fact that it had very little memory capacity. 10 gigabytes is enough for a lot of games, especially if you're using some of the optimizations Nvidia offers you. For example, DLSS being one of the best ones. But if you really want to game at the full 4K without really having to worry about using DLSS, or if you want to super sample from 8K down to 4K, or maybe if you want to try your hand at gaming at more than 4K resolution, but maybe you don't really need to go up to that 8K, the 3080 Ti is going to work fine. Also, if you think about it, the RTX 3080 Ti will likely be able to achieve gaming performance that kind of matches the RTX 3090, at least the base version of the RTX 3090, and it'll probably perform almost as well without significant heat output. Now, mind you, this is a 320 watt card, so it's still a power hungry beast and it's still going to have a lot of heat output. But just like with any new architecture and new chip design, the couple of months that Nvidia has been working more than the other cards on the R&D for this one means that they'll probably have a lot of the power design worked out. They'll probably have a lot of the heat issues that we saw with the 3080 and 3090. Some of those kinks will likely also be worked out. Ti series of cards usually end up being better performing versions of the non-Ti counterparts while also fixing some of the kinks that the non-Ti cards had. And because the non-Ti cards have been on the market for a little bit, Nvidia is able to take feedback from their customers and implement some of the changes they need to before release. But I think Nvidia was also pressured to bring out this card at the $1,000 price point because AMD recently released the RX 6900 XT, which, if you are a gamer, is a phenomenal performer at a price that beats the RTX 3090, but also comes fairly close to the performance of that. So this is what happens when you have two companies that are pretty much similar in terms of technology power, and they're actually able to compete effectively. So who is the RTX 3080 Ti for? Well, in my opinion, the RTX 3080 Ti is for anyone who wants an RTX 3080 but couldn't get one because they weren't in stock anywhere, or because all the cryptocurrency miners bought them, but that's okay. But also someone who can afford that extra couple of $100 to just get the extra memory. The extra memory in the RTX 3080 Ti is maybe not going to be the most helpful when it comes to games today, but as we go into 2021, into 2022, games are going to start using much more VRAM than they do today. And there's a very simple reason for that. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X Both have 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Some of that is reserved for the system, but the usable VRAM in both of those systems for games is actually higher than 10 gigabytes. So you're going to end up seeing in 1 or 2 years games that come out that have much higher VRAM requirements than games that are out today. And that's going to be a bottleneck for the RTX 3080 and lower tier card users later on. So if you're using the 3080 Ti, the 20 gigabytes of VRAM is going to ensure that you're at least able to play your games with adequate VRAM so that that doesn't end up bottlenecking you in the future. But more importantly, the extra VRAM is going to be useful for people who aren't necessarily using the card for games. And that's a very important aspect of these GPUs. Nvidia has positioned themselves in the market so that their GPUs are great for not only gamers, but it's also useful for people who are using Nvidia GPUs to build machine learning models. You're likely going to see a lot of RTX 3080 Ti's go into labs that work on robotics, that work in object detection, that work in machine learning of any kind, really. Sure, they might not be training the biggest model on consumer level GPUs, but if you're doing research on something that doesn't require the biggest models, then having the 20 gigabyte version of the RTX 3080 Ti is going to mean that a lot of these labs are going to buy one of these cards instead of continuously buying compute from the cloud for their projects. 3D modeling is another space where the amount of video RAM you have available is significant. Sure, you can apply DLSS to your games, but when you're creating those games, you still have to build those models at full resolution, and that uses up significantly more memory than actually putting those assets in the game. Not only that, often these assets are actually built at a much higher resolution, at a much higher polygon scale than you actually end up seeing them in these games. So that's when the actual extra VRAM becomes very necessary. Video editors who are using Davinci Resolve, which has capabilities that allow you to use Nvidia's GPUs for acceleration, are going to see likely much faster render times if they are using GPU accelerated assets. So that's where Nvidia really always tends to beat out AMD. AMD came out with a card that is great value at the higher end, at the premium market with the RX 6900 XT. But Nvidia with the RTX 3080 Ti, their market isn't just gamers. They're going to likely beat AMD this year at gaming too with the RTX 3080 Ti, just because they have DLSS, they have much more efficient ray tracing, and the card itself is very capable. And this is kind of AMD's first crack at ray tracing, and they don't yet have a real answer to DLSS. Yes, AMD has a smart access memory. We've already seen an answer to that. That's a feature that can be enabled on almost any CPU as long as certain aspects of it are supported. This is not a AMD specific thing. The smart access memory feature that AMD is touting as their own has actually been part of the PCIe Gen 4 specification, so it's available for anyone to use. So Intel CPUs are actually supposed to be capable of doing this. They just haven't rolled out the feature, and Nvidia cards are also going to be able to support this in the future. This is a feature that, yes, AMD probably has a better implementation right now, but it's nothing uniquely theirs. Everyone will be able to take advantage of it in the next few months, and because AMD has brought it out as a big feature, everyone is probably going to have an implementation of it out at some point or other. Asus already has a motherboard that has this smart access memory equivalent enabled for one of their 490Z motherboards through a BIOS update. That's an Intel chip motherboard. So Intel will likely be able to support this on most of their CPUs in the future. So I'm really excited for the RTX 3080 Ti. I see it as the culmination of what Nvidia can really do with the Ampere lineup. We don't have to go that far back to see that the 80 Ti series of graphics cards are usually the highest end consumer level GPU that Nvidia makes, and the price point kind of reflects that for this. If it ends up coming out at the $1,000 MSRP, then it's going to be a no-brainer for most consumers compared to the RTX 3090, which is kind of a Titan-ish replacement, but they're not marketing as such. So hey, for most of us, the 3080 Ti is going to be just fine. I want one, can't afford one, but I really want one. If any of you want to send me one, I'd be very happy to take a look. But hey, if you can't do that today, at the very least you can subscribe to this channel if you like this video. Make sure to also like the video, and drop a comment down below on what you're looking forward to out of Nvidia in the next year. Or if you're excited for AMD cards, make sure to let me know in the comments down below why you think some of the AMD cards are better too. I'm not saying AMD cards are bad, but they're very gamer focused and their technologies just aren't there yet. Hopefully AMD's cards will be able to give Nvidia a good fight next year, and I really want to see AMD focus more on non-gaming applications as well with these GPUs. That's it from me for this video. Remember to share this video with your friends if you think that they would be interested in the Nvidia RTX 3080 Ti or tech videos in general. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tech discussions and videos like this one. And remember to always keep learning. Bye-bye.